Okay. Do you guys ever make a sound and think that Michael Jackson could use it as a gnat pop in one of his songs? You know how he goes, hee, you know?
You like,
yes, I do know. Like, wait, but no, I don't actually. Can you do that again for me, please?
I need to remind you, Michael Jackson is no longer with us.
Well, no, but if he were alive and if he were still producing music and if he were to make a sound. Or when Migos, they also have a fallen soldier, but when Migos adds in gnat pops, like but I'm blanking on it now. I'm blanking on some of their gnat pops in their song, but
let's see. I don't know, like a good old fashioned
yeah,
or
yeah,
like stuff like that.
All right. Yeah.
That was 20 years ago, Travis.
Okay, fine.
That was almost a quarter century ago.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. I'm senior Texas A&M sports writer Travis Brown here at KBTX alongside chief meteorologist Max Crawford. Max, how you doing, buddy?
I was just staring at you, waiting for you to do something.
Waiting for you to mess up?
No, not waiting for you to mess up. Just waiting for you to just do something different in the intro. And you've done so well this season. You really have.
Thanks, buddy.
You really have.
That's why
you're right.
It's why I got the call up for the show yesterday.
Great.
Over here, Erin Patterson filling in for one Tyler Shaw, who is celebrating Thanksgiving a day early with the family.
Man. Good.
Eating some turkey.
I hope so.
So yeah, we had our little Longhorns Aggies preview show push for the playoffs yesterday. Yeah. You can watch it again if you're listening to this. We're recording on Wednesday. It's going to air, I believe it's Thursday at noon and Friday at noon. I probably should have checked that before we came here. Yeah. So you can watch that to get ready for the big game, or you can watch this and listen to this to get ready for the big game. Because
that would be good.
We're going to do that a little bit here.
I also feel like my hands are all free because we're not working with the mics.
I know we're
on a wireless thing. If you're listening to this, hopefully it sounds
good. We're having some technical difficulties in here.
I think we're overworking the microphones, man. We're talking.
I know. There was severe weather this week.
Yes,
we were in here. I was listening to Berkeley Taylor and Kaylee. Why did you forget her last name? Thomas.
There you go.
In here doing their thing.
Yep.
Keeping the Brazos Valley informed.
Kaylee, Berkeley, Taylor. Or Kaylee, Berkeley, Cassidy, they all have Thomas, Towns, Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Lots of T's.
Yeah, but then we used to have Stevie Stevenson.
Yes,
just all the alliteration.
Yeah, she gone.
Those weather girls did pose a question to the newsroom, and I hope I'm not stealing their thunder, but it was an interesting one that we can kind of segue into our talk here.
Yeah, it's a good one.
When do you eat your Thanksgiving meal?
Yeah, what time?
Well, my mom aims to have it, I think we usually eat like in between 5 and 7.
Really?
Yeah, like somewhere around there. However, there is the one Thanksgiving that we always give her crap for, and it was when the oven broke, and so we didn't eat till like 10 o'clock at night. So we talk about that was the Thanksgiving that mom ruined.
That's like a Friends episode.
So wait.
Oh, there's more.
Hang on, there's more because I have to give a shout out to this. I recently found out that this year my family is doing Thanksgiving at my Uncle Bob's house, my mom's eldest brother. Now, the reason why this is so significant is because he was banned from hosting Thanksgiving after my mom said, I will bring everything, all of that stuff. All I need you to do is go grab potatoes from the source that I can make the mashed potatoes when I get to your house. He gave her astronaut potatoes, like potatoes in a bag. And so we had to eat because my mom sent my brother and my dad out on Thanksgiving.
He's a work.
Go look for potatoes.
Yeah, that'll work.
Find any potatoes. My mom was so pissed. And so he was banned from hosting Thanksgiving because of that. But when I was on the phone with her yesterday, I was like, you're letting him host Thanksgiving? She was like, every 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 years up.
If Texas and A&M can play their game again, Uncle Bob can host Thanksgiving.
So fingers crossed that he gets potatoes, or my mom brings them to her top pit. She's gonna be pissed if
I
I
would-
did that again.
I would give Bob grief, but that's something that I would do too,
Yeah.
for sure,
But
100%.
we always make the jokes now because my mom makes the best mashed potatoes in the world. But to piss her off, also say, "Oh, remember that one Thanksgiving Uncle Bob's where the mashed potatoes were just so good."
But to get some good ribbon. Yeah. 5 to 7 though.
Yeah, it's a little late.
That is, I think that's by far the latest time I've heard people say.
That's a Thanksgiving dinner.
I was going to say, typically we do Christmas that way, like kind of more towards the evening, but usually we do Thanksgiving early. And I was telling everybody who would listen, I've said this story 100 times. It all depends on when the Cowboys game is that day.
That was my answer.
If the game is on Thanksgiving, which this Thanksgiving it is, my uncle is such a diehard Cowboys fan that we just decided at one point, like, okay, we'll do it before or after.
Yeah, it's usually about a couple hours before the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
So that everybody is in their nice little turkey coma.
I don't even know what time the kick is this year. I just know we're going to be.
Usually it's around 3, 2:30.
So we'll either do it before or after.
Yeah.
I think we'll do it before.
Yeah. Usually it's before the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
I mean, lately though, Thanksgiving has become a elusive holiday for me because even, this was kind of funny going back to when A&M moved over to the SEC.
Yeah.
I was covering TCU, and for about a 4-year stretch there, every time Texas had the home TCU Texas game, TCU took over A&M's schedule.
Right.
So they played the Thanksgiving game, Texas TCU, for 2 years while it was on that beat.
Oh.
So I covered that in the off years. I covered the Cowboys for the Star Telegram.
Yeah.
And then I moved down here, and there was always an LSU game or something around.
We would say LSU on Thanksgiving, and if it was away, we just played them the Saturday after.
So actually, I do family Thanksgiving. We've been doing it the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I was up there this past, but then it's still a couple hours before the Cowboys game because that's, everybody's got to have a little turkey coma.
Well, whatever time people are eating tomorrow, I hope that it's so good for you. I hope it's delicious. I love this holiday so much, and I love that this game is back.
Yeah.
Last year's results notwithstanding, I love that it's back.
Let's get into a little bit of the headlines here. Shorter list day because I want to get into that matchup. Le'Veon Moss listed as doubtful for the game tomorrow. He still has recovering from that ankle injury over there that he sustained during the Florida game. There was talk from Mike Elko that he might be able to be available for before the end of the regular season. Well, of course, that is this game on Friday, but that he should very much be ready for any kind of postseason run that they have. Sounds like he's on the verge of being back, but doubtful for the game. I don't think y'all can jump in. They've been pretty fine without him. You'd like to have him back, but I don't see this as any kind of point of concern for this game.
I think with the fact that we've already locked up our playoff berth and there's still so much to play for this season, I don't think there's any reason to rush him back. If it was last year and we needed this game to get to Atlanta to get any sort of playoff consideration, maybe you do. I don't know. I feel like that'd probably be up to Le'Veon, of course. But yeah, there's no rush, and his production, I will say, has been replaced. I think we've, like you quote the Moneyball quote, getting it in the aggregate. I think we've been able to do that pretty well. So I mean, shoot, the second and third string running back didn't even play against Samford last week.
No.
And yet we had a 100-yard rusher.
Yeah.
So, I think we are shored up pretty well in that running back stable. And, yeah, there's no need to rush him back. I think he will be a game-changing presence again whenever he does get back. But, yeah.
You've been on the field level. Like, who are some of those guys that have impressed you behind Le'Veon?
Yeah, I mean, well, definitely Ruben Owens. That's what I was going to say after Max, is that I don't think you need to rush Le'Veon back because Ruben Owens has been so hot. E.J. Smith, Jamarian Morrow, all of those guys have been so hot that you won't need to push Lev back in because they've been doing fine with what they have. So, I mean, again, I think he might be helpful come playoff time, but you don't need him back for this game, really. I'm curious to see if he does end up coming back and is fully healthy for the postseason push and all of that stuff. I'm curious to see if Elko goes and starts him right away.
Yeah.
And maybe, puts him in a little bit later. It just throws him right in.
I think that's exactly what you do. If you're asking me, is like maybe you let him get a couple carries early, but then you go tap right back into your reserves of Owens, of maybe even Daniels, but of certainly Morrow and Smith and stuff like that. And then like the fourth quarter, you bring the bruiser back and you just let Le'Veon run over everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I would want to do too, because he would be going into that third/fourth quarter fresh. But yeah, I almost feel like he's like your little secret weapon that you wait until later in the game to unleash. But anyway, it's a problem to have.
It is. A&M remains number 3 in the college football playoff. They're also number 3 in the AP. Same old, same old. I think everyone expects this is kind of where they are.
Until something happens.
And until something happens, if they can get into the conference title game, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, they should have probably a shot at a number 2 seed if they can win that game. But really, there's two. The only way they move up before the conference title game is if Ohio State loses to Michigan, Indiana slides up, Texas A&M slides up, and that's how they move. But it seems like the log jam that's created there is going to last until the conference title game.
100%. Yeah, nothing happens until it happens. Watch something spooky like Michigan beating Ohio State and then Indiana beating Ohio State. I'm very curious to see what happens to Ohio State in the rankings if that were to pass. I think the chances of that are pretty low. I think they're going to win at least one of those games, but it would be quite interesting.
If I had the ability to, or not the ability, but just the desire to go back, I could pull our preview podcast where Erin was talking about how Ohio State was a little overrated.
Yeah.
The big house this weekend? What are you thinking?
I hope Michigan beats them. That would be very entertaining to watch. I'm going to be honest. But I don't know if Michigan can pull it off. I really don't think that they can.
It helps that it's happening. They're playing better football. Yeah. Bryce Underwood's playing better football at quarterback.
I don't want you to go back and look at our stuff because I was the biggest OU hater at the beginning of this season, and I've been proving almost every game.
You can still kind of hate their offense.
Oh yeah, their offense is just really good. Defense is just incredible.
Yeah,
and they are advantageous. Like they take advantage of the opportunities given to them. They have a couple of big time plays that have been enough to win against both Missouri and Alabama. So you're still anti-OU?
Yeah, I am. I'm anti the top 2. Frankly, I think I mean. Like you said, I think the top 3 is going to stay the way it is unless something crazy happens. But the only time I think during all of these AP votes and college football playoff rankings as they've been coming out, the only time where I truly thought that A&M would have jumped Indiana, which they should have by now, it should have happened, was when Indiana played really, really poorly against Penn State.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost lost that game. I don't understand. I don't know. There is a clip that I can send to you, but there's a clip that says, I don't get an AP vote. I say that in studio. So if you would like to insert that, we can. But, I just, I don't know. I think I saw some quote from, I always forget Ohio State's coach's name. I don't know why.
Dade?
Yes. I don't know why I can never remember his name. But I saw a quote from him a couple weeks back where he was like, give me any team in the SEC and we'll run all over them. I'm like,
yeah. I don't know how to be quite that.
I mean, they didn't play Texas in the semifinals last year. They didn't necessarily run all over them.
Yeah. We're talking about this season. I don't really think, I think he needs to calm down a little bit. Okay. Also, Notre Dame being above Alabama, I don't care. I'm going to say it. It's stupid.
I think that if I were just to get to do the rankings myself, I probably actually have Indiana, A&M, Ohio State, because I don't think Ohio State has played anybody yet.
Indiana,
Oregon, they beat
Oregon. Indiana's got the marquee win, which Ohio State doesn't.
But you can make the argument about any of those top 3 teams, because if you look at A&M has the win over Notre Dame.
Right.
Which I think is pretty comparable to the win over Oregon. But other than that, they have the lowest conference. I mean, that's the reason they're going to be in the situation they are for the title game, is that their conference schedule actually wound up being one of the worst out there. And Ohio State, the Big Ten outside of the top 3 or 4 is not comparable to the middle of the SEC. But A&M played the bottom half of the SEC. They didn't play any of the other teams, so it makes for a very interesting conference title season because the teams that are at the top had pretty favorable schedules leading into the title game.
Okay, sure. Totally. And I don't want to spend the whole pod talking about this because I feel like this has been around the bar stool conversation for the past several weeks is you can get so into the weeds about all of this. When at the end of the day, like, I think you can agree, like, the top 5 or 6 are probably about where they should be, give or take a couple. We can't do anything about our schedule. At the beginning of the year, we were looking at Missouri ranked, South Carolina ranked, Florida ranked. I think both of those in the top 10. There's another one that I'm missing here. Obviously, Notre Dame. Auburn was, I believe, either fringe ranked or ranked. Like, all of these schools in the preseason, it looks like we would have the hardest schedule in the SEC. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we didn't have Alabama. We didn't have Georgia to play on the schedule. We didn't have Tennessee, but Ole Miss, but that's the problem you get whenever you expand the conferences. And the way to try to solve that is by going to the 9-game conference schedule. But you know what we're going to be doing this time next year is we're going to be arguing about those 2 and 3 loss SEC teams going into the last weekend and why they should be ranked number 11 instead of number 17. And so round and round and round we'll go. The bottom line, the biggest point I have to say about this is it's not perfect, but at the very least, we're not talking the top 4 teams and we're talking the top 12 teams. And to me, that still gives us enough parity and enough chance for people to get to play and figure out if they are really as good as they say they are. I don't think it should expand beyond that, but I like 12. I think
people will kind of get to understand that a lot of it is just get yourself into the tournament and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the name of the game,
right?
In a lot of this. Men's basketball last night sets a new Reed Arena scoring record, 120 points against Mississippi Valley State. I think that's impressive. I think the offensive piece of Buckyball is starting to show itself a little bit.
Yeah.
The game before, Ruben Dominguez sets a new single game 3-point record by hitting 10 of 14, 10 3-pointers. So that offensive piece is there. I'm still waiting for the defense to kind of show up, because at the end of that game looked a little bit like you go down to your local LA Fitness and guys are just running back and forth. And that's part of it. That's kind of part of this air raid-esque version of basketball.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see. And then volleyball, they are bounced from the SEC tournament by Texas, but are awaiting a very high seed in the NCAA tournament, and we're wanting to see if they will for sure host the first and second round, if they will be able to host the third and fourth round.
That'd be awesome. Hopefully that's a raucous environment, regardless of how much we get to play at Reed with that. But those ladies absolutely deserve a packed out Reed for that.
And Jamie Morrison is just such a likable guy.
Absolutely. I love Coach Mo, and I hope we hold on to him as long as possible.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Over 40 years ago, my parents started C&J Barbecue, and today we continue to honor Dad's legacy with the best barbecue in the Brazos Valley. With locations on Harvey Road, Southwest Parkway, and our newest location on William Joe Bryan, we carry on our family tradition of serving up award-winning barbecue, sides, and desserts. We also offer delivery, catering, as well as custom menus and private chef services. Come visit us today for some of the best barbecue around. C&J Barbecue. The C is for Chip, the J is for Joe, and the barbecue is for you.
Well, let's go ahead and get in to the matchup. It is the Lone Star Showdown.
Presented by Cotton Holdings.
It is number 3, Texas A&M against number 16, Texas. Texas with 3 losses, A&M undefeated. Friday, 6:30 p.m., DKR Texas Memorial Stadium, ABC on the broadcast if you're not going to make it over there to Austin.
Do you know who's on the call for this? Is it going to be Herb Street and Fowler?
I heard no, they're at the Iron Bowl.
Okay.
So it'll probably be a different.
I wouldn't mind Jesse Palmer and Joe Tess, but they might be doing something on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah. The McElroy, and who does McElroy work with? I'm not sure.
And McDonough?
Yeah, that's not
What
right.
it is? Yeah. Also a good pair.
So let's just go ahead and dive right into the tail of the tape here, because I think there's a couple of interesting pieces to this game. A&M has the edge in total offense and total defense, both ranked 15th in the country in those. Texas is 72nd and 39th in offense and defense. Both teams have great defensive fronts and good getting the quarterback. A&M is second in the nation at averaging 3.55 sacks per game. Texas is third, averaging 3.36 sacks per game. However, A&M's offensive line has been exponentially better. And two stats to kind of show that a little bit is tackles for loss allowed. A&M is first in the country. They only average 2.91 tackles for loss allowed, while Texas is 93rd, averaging 5.73. And then sacks allowed. A&M is 11th in the country. They've only allowed 1 sack per game average. Texas is 1.91. That makes them 78th. I think we can start with this conversation. I think one of the biggest parts of this game is going to be the better offensive line. The one that can keep the other team's defensive line at bay better is going to be the one that comes out victorious in this game.
Yep. 100% agree.
From your perspective on that, you get a little bit better to look on the field. What have you liked about the offensive line play so far?
I mean, I think they've done a good job at keeping Marcel safe when he's in the pocket, when he wants to go for the run. I think they've done a very good job at creating gaps to allow him to run, to allow running backs to run. They've been able to do a really great job of that. And I mean, we don't really talk about the O-line too much, but
that's a good thing. When you're not talking about the O-line,
like that's a very positive thing.
And they would have it no other way.
They're not creating any problems or any mistakes that would have eyes on them. So, I mean, I know Texas has a decent defense, but when you look at the numbers, I don't think, just looking at the numbers, not at the actual team itself, I don't think Texas is the most difficult opponent A&M has seen so far this season, but who knows?
I don't necessarily disagree with you. Would you say Notre Dame is the best one that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I would probably say Notre Dame is the best. I mean, I know the Mizzou game ended up going the way it was. I think Mizzou's defense was something that people were concerned about. Even, Florida and Auburn, they obviously took down ticks in when A&M was headed into those games. Like, especially the Florida one. You're talking about the Florida defense for, days.
I would tend to agree, especially if we're just talking about matchups against defense. I think Auburn at the time, Florida's at the time, and Missouri's defense are all better than this.
LSU's defense was pretty high doubted as well.
Oh, man, which I think Texas's defense was better than LSU's defense, especially because if I remember correctly, we didn't have to play against wet weeks that week. Yeah, there's Anthony Hill is I believe was listed as questionable. I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't suit up because I think the understanding is that this is his last regular season game before he declares. So I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't play.
And at linebacker, if it really is a broken hand, then you just come out there with the club on.
Right. Yeah. And that's
that's
good because that makes it less likely throwing an interception when you throw it in the middle of the field. But I agree. I think it's a really solid defense. But I think we have proven that we can score on as good or better defenses.
I agree. I think the Anthony Hill part is key, and Anthony Smith is going to be out for the first quarter. I believe it was targeting
first half.
In their last game against Arkansas. So that puts the middle of the field at an interesting place.
Give me a drag route. Give me another drag route the other way.
We're avid NCAA 26 players. Yeah. I love a mesh route.
Let's do
Give me a mesh route all the time.
Do it. Send D or Craver or shoot. Send ABR.
Here's the other aspect that is intriguing to me, and that is the punt return situation, because you have For A&M, Tacey Concepcion, who has 19 punt return attempts for a total of 398 yards, and averaging 20 yards per return, and has 2 touchdowns. I think none more. Well, both interesting in their own right. The first was like his first return of the season. Right. Just kind of sparked electricity there. Is a certain there. Ace status. But the important one was the LSU one in the second half. That A&M's offense had sputtered through the first half, and it kind of jump-started that can into that comeback effort against the Tigers. And then you have Ryan Niblett for Texas, who has 17 attempts and gotten 420 yards, 24.7 average. Key PDs. He had one late against Mississippi State that pied it to push it to overtime so they could get that win. Then I have another one, big one against Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. Has been able to turn games on their head. If for some reason A&M's offensive line isn't showing what they can be against Texas' defensive line, the way Texas gets in and stays in and maybe gets ahead in this game is in the special teams, with maybe Ryan Niblett breaking off a couple big punt returns. And then on the converse of that, if you were talking about special teams, I still don't know where A&M stands in the kicking game.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm Anna.
What? Go ahead, Aaron.
I have seen some very, very good Bama teams with very, very bad games.
Yes, you have.
So, before the bowl by but yeah, I think not being confident beating
headed into this Texas game is not, and the postseason for that is not a good thing.
I think if you are to take a little bit of truth serum, take the maroon shades off for a second. I don't think it's going to be this game, but I think as early as Atlanta, assuming we go there, if there is going to be something that is eventual slip up for us, make it a longer undefeated, I think the most logical thing that you would blame it on is kicking, because that's the only thing that has consistently been a problem throughout. Like we've had problems with, especially early in the game, like allowing big plays, a couple of downfield throws, or just like real big chunk run cutback plays and stuff like that. But like that hasn't been enough to just completely take us out of the game. But I think what could is when the competition starts going up and up and up, and the margin for error gets lower and lower, or narrower and narrower, that's your first thing that you expect to affect you.
Hopefully it's not this kick. That would really, really be off the.
Yeah, and it stinks because you're talking about two dudes who really want to be able to take the ball well and have shown, especially Randy Vaughn, that he's absolutely capable of doing it. I don't know about their ability to lock in at this point in the season, given the troubles that both of those seem to have faced.
Last year in the game, A&M's offense didn't really show up. They actually needed that pick six by Will Liu to get on the board. It's a very different team this year with Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver back there. Do we see this as a little bit more of an offensive battle with these teams?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the things that I forgot to mention is if you're Texas and you're trying to scheme around things, especially in offense, and our defense is really doing that well, I think if you're worried about our offensive lines, if you're Texas and you're worried about your offensive line, you're doing those quick throws, you're throwing in the on the sides of the field and trying to space out the defense to where the pass rush is maybe not quite as necessary. Get the ball out of Arch's hands as quick as possible. Get him some of those easy progressions, and then try to get some yards after catch. That's what I'm trying to do. So you feel like your offensive line is the biggest weakness on your offense, and like those longer developing plays. Unless you can establish a run first, you're probably not doing that at the beginning. Somebody pointed out how the first offensive play of every game for the past 4 or 5 games has been a little not swing route, but like a little bubble route out to Ryan Wingo. And another random person on Twitter was like, why? They're going to fake that and then try to go, down hang into the house. Sure, I believe that's possible, but I think you don't mess with what has been working with them for the past 4 or 5 weeks ago or so, and you try to do those short dump-off passes and checkdowns and stuff like that, and you just try to get the ball at Arch's hands as quickly as possible.
I think the problem with running those short routes,
going up against A&M defense. I mean, I think in the South Carolina game, Bill Lee got like 8 passes.
Yeah.
Like that. And they played them to be good at stopping those short routes. So I don't know. I mean, Eck could still absolutely go and try and run the same thing that they do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to figure out pretty quickly it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I will also say where their run game hasn't been super successful, I believe Baxter's back and totally healthy, and Wisner ran up and down the field against us last year. I think they will get their carries, and I think they'll get their yardage. I think it would be silly of Sark not to at least try to establish a run at the beginning of the game, because we have shown, especially in the first half, that is one of the biggest things you can exploit early on. Will they be able to? I don't know. I truly don't. I happen to think that the defense will be pretty locked in on this, but it's not like they don't have talent at the running back position. And we have shown that even against not great offensive lines, running backs have still been able to get in space and make something out of a play that should have been a 3 or 4 yard gain end up being a 15-20. So I would be pretty surprised if we didn't see a couple of those early in the game.
We would be remiss.
It'll be frustrating.
Yeah, we would be remiss real quick not to talk about what this game means. Again, we talked a little bit about it last week, and we did it on our special. But here is what's at stake when it comes to the SEC championship. A&M trying to go to their first one since joining the SEC. Of course, as we said, it's winning, you're in.
Right.
If A&M wins against Texas, they're in the SEC title game. If Alabama beats Auburn in the Iron Bowl, it'll be A&M versus Erin Patterson's Alabama. If A&M beats Texas and Alabama loses to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, it'll be Texas A&M versus Georgia. The other two options are A&M loses to Texas, and then they're going to need Alabama and Ole Miss to both lose in that game to be able to make it. And in that scenario, it would also be Texas A&M and Georgia. If A&M loses and either Alabama or Ole Miss win, it is Georgia versus who wins. And as we talked about before, this is because if A&M loses, you'd have 4 teams at 7-1. The next tiebreaker beyond head-to-head is the record of their conference teams that they played.
Right.
And A&M's is at 22% win percentage in that. So they are dead last. They would actually, the crazy thing is they've led the SEC the entire season. If they lose that game, they actually finish 4th in the SEC,
which is pretty crazy
because of the tie-breaking situation.
And that's a perfectly understandable tiebreaker. I feel like it does get a little bit complicated, but I think it makes sense. To me, when I look at all this, I just see, okay, so we just need to win.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, even with 2 conference losses last year going into this game, that was still the case. It was like, win and you're in. Just take care of business. Obviously, you didn't, but it's the same type of deal this time around, except you got that little safety net of, okay, well, if you don't go to Atlanta, you're still going to make the playoff. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously still something to play for if you lose this game. But if you want an SEC championship or if you want an extra game in there and you want a potential to get another piece of hardware, it's like, still win that game. And another thing, if you're just a regular football fan and you're tired of seeing Georgia versus Alabama in the SEC championship, I think you're rooting for A&M here too. Because, I mean, Georgia Ole Miss can maybe be fun. I think Alabama A&M would be a lot of fun. I would love to see I. Simpson against our defense. I'm getting way ahead of myself, obviously. But Alabama's also a team where their running game is not so like, I think it would be good versus good and weakness kind of versus weakness. If it was Alabama and A&M, I think that would be a highly entertaining SEC championship. I don't want to see Georgia Alabama in national personally.
I also don't want to either for Alabama because I just know that Alabama will win. And that's the, but the one thing a couple of weeks ago when the SEC title game was starting to come into conversation, you and I were talking at, but hey, look what Atlanta looked like. And you had said to me, you said this the last team that was want to face in Atlanta is Alabama. Yeah. Now, from Alabama in me, the last team I want to face in Atlanta is A&M. Sure. Like A&M I love Dub Alley. Love it. I love that. Hi Simpson and that team are not beating.
They don't inspire confidence in
not at all.
Well, and just to that end, we brought this up last week. if A&M, this is from the bowl playoff situation, if A&M gets that bye in the first 4 rounds, it's either Rose, Cotton, Sugar, or Orange. Of course, you think the Big Ten winners going to the Rose. That's the sign that they have. I probably, if A&M is in that 2 to 3 range, it's either going to be Cotton or Sugar.
Yeah.
But I don't see them sending them to Orange unless they finish 4th. And I think if A&M the higher seeded, I know some projectings have A&M, even if they're in the 2 seed, going to the Sugar, but as my understanding, it's always been they tried to match the closest regionally bowl to their team, and the Cotton is significantly closer to the Sugar, although both of them are like technically drivable for A&M fans, and the Cotton Bowl is a big con. Yeah. So then semifinals, yes, then Peach, and then the finals are in Miami this year.
What? My Benvenida Ami. There's so much about this game that like just gets the BAF juices flowing, or like they tear nervous and stuff like that. But I and a couple of my friends in the group chat have all kind of just decided, you know what, like the Aggies have proven every single doubt of mine wrong all season long. Why would I all of a sudden just so, you know what, I think this is the one that we use? Why would I just like, why would I put that strip now? So that's kind of where I'm sitting with this. Is I do think that their offense is going to do better than they look on paper. If they're just kind of ranking how things go versus our defense and stuff like that, I think they're going to score some points on us, most definitely. I think Arch is starting to come on and kind of figure out the...
He's a mobile quarterback that has at times...
Right. So we have shown that, like, that can be a struggle for us. It hasn't always been. But I think that is going to be another one of those games where we're really frustrated going into halftime, and then I think we just, for lack of a better phrase here, and Stu Mully was, he kind of walked the hell in the second half. And now, I don't know, we've explicit pat on this podcast. I don't know if we win by a lot because of that, but I do think that what we have shown on how we finish games is what is going to propel us to win this Saturday.
Mike Elzerman, I was listening to his radio show last year, and he made a good point about what happened in the South Carolina. In fact, it might have been 2 weeks ago. And no, he kind of wanted to address the trope when teams don't come out and play that they were sleepwalking, or they didn't have enough energy, that they didn't want it enough. And he said, no, this team always brings enough energy. They always wanted enough. In that South Carolina game, they had a few mistakes, and then they wanted it too badly. They tried too hard, and they were pushing and not letting kind of the game come to them. For Phil Header Appreciate out there.
I think that you can even that can stop it more Bell and the first half that he had. Yes, they're trying to do way too much.
That would be the concern I would maybe have in this game more than anything else. It is just getting too amped up. Now it's going to be senior night for Texas. It is a rivalry game. How much of that kind of cancels each other out is something. But I think if anything, it's that wanting it too much, pushing a little, trying to fit that pass into the window that's just probably a little too tight, or trying to get that extra yard or whatever it is in the fumble, like something like that is more detrimental than I think just a differential in skill or anything like that in this game. So we put our predictions up yesterday. I said A&M wins 38-31. You were 38.
Yo, I had 31. Hang on, I sent it to you in a text.
While you're looking at that, it just said 31-29. Yeah, it was a field goal. Yeah, I'd be stressful.
I didn't pull it that. I know the spread is 2. I didn't make it a field goal because I don't think I don't want to put that pressure on A&M stickers. That doesn't seem like the way that maybe they would win.
See, but and not to go off on a tangent here, but if it's like a 49 yard field goal, I almost feel better than if it's a 25 yarder.
Yeah,
for the way that Randy Bond has been kicking. But
and Jared Zirkle was the guy who kicked it against it. Yeah, we don't know
who they are going to be. Not that that's some sort of competitive advantage for us. That scares the crap out of me. But I think I like 30s. I like where y'all's head is at with that. I'm kind of thinking like a 34-27 type game. I think I've had that as a prediction like 5 times this season. But yeah, I feel like 30-ish is going to be enough for whatever team to win. And so, yeah, I feel good about like a 34-27 type victory. That would obviously include a field goal or 2. But I think one of the coolest things Elko said over the past couple weeks, and if you're any high school coach or you're just any type of motivational person, what he said, he's like, we won that game 6 months ago. He's like, it was the effort that we put in the offseason. Like we saw the problems that we had the season before, and we knew what we needed to address, and we addressed it. We won that game in January. And so I am going all freaking in on that. I am running through a brick wall and saying, we won this Texas game 6 months ago as well. 6 months and a couple days, whatever you want to call it. I do think that on paper, we're the better team. I think that we have been put through the ringer in plenty of away game environments that will be just as intimidating as what they see in Austin, from Arkansas to LSU to Notre Dame, even Missouri right at the start. I mean, of course, I see a way where we walk out of there with a loss because it's a rivalry game, but I can't picture us losing this one. I can't see us going all the way to the end and then falling short on this one. So I think they're going to come ready to play. I think there will be some jitters to get out, and I think there will be some frustrations with it, but I think at the end of the day, it's a win. So yeah, 34-27, maybe 34-30. I'm feeling cheeky.
Okay. Well, the other thing that could factor into this is maybe weather.
Yes.
Let's take a quick look at what that looks like as well, especially if we're getting close to...
Right, and apologies to those of you who are listening to this. I'll try to walk you through it as well as I can. And if you're watching, obviously you can see here what I have pulled up is just Forecast Radar. This is our in-house model that actually does pretty good, like 2 or 3 days out. Obviously, that's where we sit. So I'm going to start it on Thursday and just progressing there, mostly sunny through Thanksgiving Thursday. Clouds increase on Friday. There's another low pressure system that will bring us rain on Saturday, which, by the way, this is going to usher in oodles of cold air as we get December started. But it's also going to still be really, really dry on Friday. And so when you start to see these little green specks show up out of the forecaster, you immediately go, okay, but what are we doing here at the surface? Because this is projected, simulated radar and satellite. And so not to get nerdy here, but a lot of times, even when you've got all that moisture, Erin's stretching and just like yawning over here.
Here, you usually come into the brain here.
A lot of times when you get this much moisture in the upper levels, but it's so dry downstairs and on the surface, it evaporates before it reaches the ground. I think that's what we're going to see for most of the day on Friday. But the farther we go into Friday night, we do a thing called saturating the column, where we start to actually bring enough moisture down there to the surface. And before the end of the night on Friday, we will see some rain. But I have a pretty good hopes that we're going to hold off the rain all the way through game time. And then by Saturday morning, folks leaving Austin, headed back to BTS and stuff like that, it's probably going to be a wet drive home, excuse me. So mostly cloudy, a little bit of a south breeze to go along with it. If you're going to bring a jacket, which kickoff temperatures will be in the low 60s, upper 50s, you're probably going to want a jacket anyway. Might as well put a rain jacket on top of that layer, and I think you'll be good to go. That's where things look right now. Of course, we'll update on socials.
It's really Erin and Tyler that I'm concerned about for being a little drizzly there on the field while they're shooting that game.
If it rains, I'm going to blame you.
Okay, that's fine. It's possible. I don't think it will, but it would not surprise me.
So for around the SEC, I want to get into an origin story here because it's something that has captivated me locally here in BCS.
Okay.
Where do I we're going to produce on the fly here. Where do I need to go to find?
Well, I have them pulled up already.
Okay, so
hang on. Let's start the graphic over. Okay. And then you can pull it up. Let's do it now.
There.
Okay. And here he comes. I promise you the origin story is not nearly as interesting as just the graphic itself.
If you've been watching, and for those of you who are just listening, if you've been watching the 10-day forecast for the last 10 days or so, there's a little buddy that we've had on the screen right under Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And it is the shaking your tail feather twerking turkey.
I was going to say, we just call it the twerking turkey in the First Alert Weather Center. There he is. He has been a fixture on the graphics package for, probably 75% of local news stations across the country have access to these graphics. And I would argue most of those use the twerking turkey at some point around this time of year. He's been in there since, I want to say, like 2015, 16.
Okay.
And we have used him every year ever since. He's been in the background. We have him on the 10-day. But he's ushering in the season, if you will. There's a little bit of climatological stuff there for Thanksgiving for BCS. And yeah.
It just makes me so happy.
Yeah, he's great. He's loving it. He's loving every bit of it. Maybe he's one of the pardoned turkeys, and that's why
he's a part. I just want to know. Like, I want to get into the head of whoever, this computer designer who's like, okay, we're making this weather package. We could have a turkey. We could have a turkey running. We could have a turkey, turkey trotting if you want to do. But no, let's go ahead and go full out and have a twerking turkey. Like, I want to meet this person.
There's several different, like I said, it's a full-on graphics package, and there's a bunch of different little 3D elements in there where you can have the turkey doing different things. Oh. But why would you have him do anything else? I don't know. If he can do that, why anything else?
Erin, have you experienced the twerking? Have you seen it on the while you're because you're usually getting ready for like a sportscast coming up right after it?
Honestly, I don't know why I haven't noticed until now.
What are your thoughts? Are you
just start using them this week?
I think he was probably on there like late last week because in the hen day.
Because I was gonna say if it just started this week, then I honestly haven't been here to see it.
Yeah,
but
no, he's a good guy. He's a jolly fellow.
They could have done so much more. I'm looking out.
Well, you want to keep it appropriate. Kids are out of school right now. You watch it.
Appropriate.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You keep it PG.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Not G. This is not rated G. It's PG.
I don't.
Also, he's got a lot of neck flexibility to be able to.
All right, now we're going. Now we're going to
back.
Now we're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like turkeys' necks though. They are just
that's true.
flimsy.
That is true.
Yeah.
Not like.
Y'all ever had any turkey gizzards or livers or any of all that stuff? No.
Nope. Okay. Nope. I'm good with it. And especially after I've seen this taste your jolly fellow right here, I don't know if I'm gonna eat any turkey this Thanksgiving. All
right. I was gonna save me some. I'll make yours.
I'm gonna eat the turkey.
Yeah.
So as we'll close it out with this, is there any more apt description, as you said earlier before we started recording, of a rivalry matchup on Thanksgiving than giraffes fighting?
No. I don't think so.
No.
The way that they
You've seen videos.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
I have. So I think we should just end on that note that if you want to know what you're to expect this Friday, it is giraffes fighting.
Okay.
That's
going to be a little awkward looking at times, but there's going to be some real punches thrown.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's both of these fan bases are close. There's some families that have both Aggies and Lone. So it's kind of like there's like a hugging element to it.
There is. It is a very old article at this point, and I want to say it was a Wright Thompson article. I could be wrong. Who kind of just examined rivalries and like how some are brother against brother, and some are just a culture clash that could not be any more different of fan bases. To me, A&M and Texas is like a little bit of both. Because you've got like the blue collar blah 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 of A&M versus like the hoity-toity hippie Austin people, but like that has all bled so much together now in this globalized Texas society that we live in that like a lot of it is suburban Dallas kid who went to Texas versus suburban Houston kid who went to A&M. Like that's what a lot of it is. Obviously, there's still like the blue collar mentality of the Aggies and the state school and the land grant and stuff like that versus like the flagship institution. But like there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. I think Alabama and Auburn kind of similar. Like it's a lot of the same people.
I would say that Alabama Auburn is the brother matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, Auburn were little brothers.
There you go. See, yeah, we got to beat the little brother trope, dude.
Well,
but anyway.
Thank you for Chief Sociologist Max Crawford joining us today on the podcast, and that's all the time we have.
To thank me for being here.
Yeah, and
I was getting to this. A little drinky. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Max, and thank you, Erin, for all of your wonderful insights into this podcast. Be sure to check KBTX.com. See Erin, Max on the 5, 6, and 10 this weekend. Be sure to watch our special re-airing on Thursday and Friday to get you prepared for that big game. And we'll be out there with full coverage of everything going on at the Lone Star Showdown, and then everything leading up after that, depending on where Texas A&M goes. So, for Max Crawford and Erin Patterson, I am Travis Brown. This is the Aggie Game Day Extra Podcast. We'll see you next week.